Ooh, welcome to the Wolves Den and another action figure review. It's been a while since I've had any figures to review, but the Disney Store has put out a brand new line of figures called the Toy Box line, and they come in 3 different series. One series is Disney movie characters, the second series is Marvel characters, and the third series that you see here are the Star Wars series. And you have Rey and the First Order Stormtrooper. There is a third figure, which I'll show you here. It's Kylo Ren. And since I'm not a huge Kylo Ren fan, I decided not to get that figure. They are designed after the Disney Infinity figures that were the little toys that you put on a little portal and you'd play a video game with them. A lot of people like the looks of those characters, the design of them, and always wish they were actually posable action figures that you could play with instead of the little statues that they were. Well, they've gone and done it, and they've made actual posable action figures with that design. These are actually taller than the Disney Infinity figures themselves, whereas those were maybe about 3.5 to 4 inches tall. These are about 4.5 to maybe 5 inches tall. So let's take a look at what these figures are actually like. We'll start by taking a look at the figure's articulation. We'll start with the First Order Stormtrooper. His head does rock up and down, and then it turns side to side. His arms raise to the side that far, and then rotate all the way around. He does have a single bend at the elbow, and that also rotates. His wrist rotates, and then they can rock in and out like so. He does rotate at the waist, and then his legs can rise to the side that far, and then they can't go very far forward unless there's this little notch here, and that the armor plates kind of bump in. If you like move it out a little bit, you can get it to move farther forward, like so. And then he's got a single knee joint, and then the feet rock up and down a little bit. And I'll also point out right now that both the figures do have peg holes in their feet if you have some figure stands that those holes might fit with. Alright, now on to Rey's articulation. Alright, let's look at Rey's articulation. Her head does not move up and down very far, and it can tilt side to the side a little bit, and it does rotate all the way around. Arms raise up that far to the side, and then rotate all the way around. She has a single bend at the elbow, and that also rotates. And her wrists rotate, and then rock in and out. Now her waist is hindered by her outfit that she's wearing here. You can kind of hold her by the legs and then turn her waist that way. And as you can see, it's pulling the belt away from the rest of the piece here, kind of revealing where it was glued together at one point. But that's pretty much how you have to turn her at the waist, because her outfit gets in the way. Additionally, it gets in the way of this leg, because this leg cannot really move too far at all because of this loopy piece here. This leg can move out to the side, but it's really loose, so it just falls right back down. But it can move out forward like that, and then she does have a single knee joint, and then her feet can rock, or not rock, but move up and down. There are no rocker ankles on here. And that's it for Rey's articulation. Let's take a closer look at the First Order Stormtrooper. And at this point, these guys are very recognizable. Very basic color scheme, very simple look, but I think they did a nice job in creating the design of this figure. I really like the animated look these guys have. It's harder to tell, obviously, on the Stormtrooper, but I think it translated well. He's got his belt here with all those little gadgets on it. Really nice looking figure. And pretty good paint apps. Except, let me find a really good example here. Yeah, this might be the best. Where the joints are, and there's a lot of movement. You can see the paint chipping. See a little bit up here. A little bit in there. I don't know how easy that is to see. But there's definitely some paint wearing off, which is kind of sad. Another sad thing is, I pointed it out on Rey, but on the Stormtrooper 2, the leg joints are really loose. You know, right where they meet at the torso here. They're just really loose. At least from side to side. When they go forward, they're pretty good. But side to side, they're just really loose. So that's another little disappointing factor. Next, we have his blaster rifle here. And it's a really nice looking blaster. I think they did a really good job on this. Really nice paint apps on that. But it's really loose in his hand. You can see how loose that is. Just, you know, it stays in there, I guess. You know, it took some shaking to get it out of there, but it's not in there tight. The hands are not very well formed to grip these weapons tightly. So it'll stay in there. And even better if you can get them to hold it with two hands. Then there's no problems. But just one-handed, it might fall out. Alright, and that is the Stormtrooper. Let's take a look at Rey. Taking a look at Rey, you can see that's a very good looking figure. You can tell more of the animated style design on this one. But I really like the way they look. And they got some nice details, the wrappings on the arms. A little wrist doodad there. Her belt and belt pouch, really nice looking. Really good job on the head sculpt. Got her little funky hairdo here. Nice big animated like eyes. Really like the looks of this figure. But as I mentioned earlier, her legs are kind of useless. This one can barely go anywhere at all, and this one's really loose. So she's really hindered in her leg movement. And she does come with one accessory. Her lightsaber here. Or Luke's lightsaber, or Anakin's lightsaber. Whoever lightsaber this actually is, she comes with it. And they did a really good job on this. Very simple design, but they got, you know, nice paint apps all around. The blade is not removable, so it'll always be attached. And there's nowhere to attach it to her belt anyway. Now, much like the Stormtrooper, she has trouble fitting it into her hand. It's extremely loose. She has to hold it by this bottom piece because that's the only part that's thick enough so that it won't fall right out of her hand. So even though it's incorrect, that's the only way to fit it in there. And this hand is no help because it's in this open position, so she can't really grip it with this hand at all. So that's a little disappointing in that the lightsaber just does not stay in her hand properly. I had almost forgot, but both these figures came with a little pamphlet that shows you all the figures in the 3 lines that are out right now, and some little, clues, I guess, to upcoming figures. And we have the Star Wars figures that I went over. And I guess as far as clues go is that you can probably tell that the little silhouettes there don't indicate any specific figure other than, these are male, this is female. So in the Star Wars line, we're going to be getting another female figure and 2 more male figures. And then over in the Pixar line, where we have Buzz, Woody, and Jessie, we're going to be getting 4 more figures. 3 are male, 1's female. And then lastly, we have the Marvel line with Thor, Hulk, Spider-Man, and Iron Man. And in the future, we'll get 2 new female figures and a male figure. I thought you'd like to look at that pamphlet just to see who's all out there right now. I knew I liked the look of the toy box figures because they're styled after Disney Infinity. And I think they did a good job in capturing that same style in these Poseable action figures. I really do like how they look. Other than that, though, I just have to say that I'm disappointed because I feel like they're just very average action figures. The articulation is average at best. I wish it was better. It's not bad, but I wish it was better. I wish they could pose a little bit more than they actually can. Their weapons are really nice, but they don't fit well in their hands. The paint apps are okay, but at the joints they can rub off. The legs on both figures are really loose. Things like that add up to disappointment. And I think I would be less disappointed, a little more accepting of some of these faults, if these figures were maybe $8 to $10. Instead, they're $13. And in my case, I had to pay shipping on top of that. So these things were, a bit more expensive, so I expected better of these things. So I like how they look, but the execution leaves something to be desired. With that, I hope you enjoyed this review. I hope to see you soon again for some more action figure reviews. Until then, thanks for watching.